We're here today with Nick Pollock, CEO of Decimal Software. Nick, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
What is the Decimal business?
Decimal is a software business. We play in the what's well known as the fintech space, a very exciting and vibrant area of technology at the moment. Within fintech, we play in the what's commonly been referred to as the RoboAdvice space. So if fintech's the hottest thing around, then RoboAdvice is the hottest part of the hottest. So it's a very exciting place to be. Within the Robo world, we are quite different in that what we do is provide a platform to the financial institutions in order to deliver automated advice to their clientele in a business-to-business manner rather than being a business-to-consumer brand, which is mostly what you're hearing about in the media and the press.
So how does RoboAdvice work?
Well, it can work in any number of ways depending on the segment of the market that you're addressing. So obviously the way you would engage online with a millennial or a Gen Y is quite different to the way you might engage with someone that's just pre-retirement. So what we have is a platform that enables that automation of advice through the algorithms, very, very importantly through the integration with the custodial systems at the back within the institution, and then the ability to execute the advice at the end. But on top of that, our customers build their user interface in a bespoke way that reflects their brand, their marketing and their user experience, and that's a really important way of all institutions, the way they're engaging their customer base at the moment. So that can be very passive. I could go through a sort of a typical triage approach like I might do with a financial advisor in front of me asking me a series of questions, you know, when do you want to retire, how much do you want, blah, blah, blah. Or and that's entirely valid, and we're doing that already. As this progresses, those offerings will become far more personalised. So therefore, David, you would get an email saying, we know this about you and your expectations are quite high. I've given you all this information. How can you help me? You know, make that a very personalised experience. And then everything in between, depending on the demographic that you're addressing.
What's the size of the market for this product?
Sort of Chinese numbers, as I say, or phone book numbers, as someone said to me. So there was a report from Cerulli out of the US last year, and I think it was 8.6 trillion in terms of, if you look at the Australian market, there's 2 trillion under advice or under management. So just a share of that is a nice place to start, which is obviously where our focus is to begin with. But this is definitely a global market. I mean, the opportunity that we're addressing is global in nature.
A very competitive market. How do you differentiate your product from your competitors?
The main differentiation for those that are reading the media and the press and hearing a lot about Robo, most of what you're hearing is a business to consumer model. We are not that. We are, to use a West Australian term, selling shovels to miners. So we know that this market will mature, as all technology markets do. We also, from a technology perspective and a market perspective, we know that ultimately the customer will come back to the trusted brand and institution. We also know that those customers have a high expectation of a personalised experience, and we can tap into that custodial system information to provide that, where a B2C model is trying to win business off the banks. We're working with the banks to help them address what is the 80% of people that don't currently use financial advice in Australia. It's 70% in the US, so it's a massive addressable market that they can now address in a very low-cost manner without having to hire a whole bunch of advisors.
What are some of the recent milestones that the business has achieved?
If you look at where we have come from and where we are today, it's a classic technology success story, in as much as probably the only difference is that we built the technology and invested heavily in that build early on. There's $25 million gone into this build, and the nature of the founder and our organisation is very much industrial strength, gold-plated platforms that you can sell to the biggest institutions in the world. So it was always architected along those lines. Then the first cornerstone customers came, and that was Mercer and Q Super. Throughout last year, we were delivering to those guys as the first customer, so taking the technology and putting it with the customer. And then in the meantime, the Robo market started gaining a lot of momentum and interest. Second half of last year started delivering some outstanding results for some of those customers. Q Super now have near 3 billion funds under advice through the system. Mercer are just about to launch it through 170 superannuation funds and 1.4 million of their customers. So you look at that progression. We signed a new agreement with Mercer at the end of last year, which reflects that growth. And now we're launching two solutions to the market. We've just launched them, Equalise and Tentalon. Tentalon being the very large institution, fully customisable platform that you can roll out your automated advice offering to your clients over many years and a long term. It'll be a pillar of your online presence. Equalise, however, is for, let's say, a smaller organisation or mid-cap super fund or large super fund that knows they need to be in this space, doesn't necessarily have the large resources or what have you, and it needs to be timely, so we can deliver them a largely pre-configured solution, get them in the market, get them going, which then of course they can evolve over time. So if you look at that progression, we are sort of now at this major, and of course the market's woken up. So the conversations we're having today with organisations are very, very different to what they were a year ago even. They're now very action orientated as opposed to education orientated.
And what are the milestones that investors should be looking at from your company over the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, as I said, the ones that I've already talked about, but clearly now it's about execution on that sales plan. So the milestones that we'll be looking for now are obviously customer announcements, of which they're looking very, very strong, and also partnership announcements. So a big part of our strategy is to not build the world's biggest sales force, is to work very smartly with large strategic partnerships, and they come from two main areas. One is the large software houses that sit in adjacent spaces to us, so the CRM type vendors, customer relationship management vendors, so you can see how the customer information and our offering are very, very good. Or, you know, IBM Watson, you know, the analytics engine that sits behind some of this analysis that the big banks are doing. And then on the other side, the advisory and the implementation, the big advisory firms and implementation firms that we all know, the big four often known as, who are advising the banks about their digital strategy and then helping them actually to deliver that. So the combination of those things will also give us tremendous leverage into the market, not just in Australia but globally.
Nick, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.